Scrappy, Lucas Da Silva. How are things? It's State Week.
Can we just agree that this is the most exciting week of the high school season and just get it out of the way? This is the most exciting week of the year.
It is. I mean, I still go back to state duels being super exciting as well. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which of the two, but I'm right there with you. This is what, everybody's worked extremely hard for a long time. And there's just a few matches in front of you. Get a few wins. Next thing you know, you're standing on top of the podium. That's pretty cool. You've done it. I've never done it.
Done it a trio of times, and I will say it now. I'm gonna say it probably a couple times throughout this intro and throughout all these videos. There's not feeling like it in high school wrestling. There really isn't. Like getting to stand on top of the podium in the, let's be nice and say, lovely Macon Coliseum. I'll get into my gripes with it eventually throughout these videos, but standing on top of the Macon Coliseum, looking at your parents taking pictures of you, your coaches and everybody. And it's a moment to really appreciate the work you've put in throughout the season and throughout your entire career to get to that point. Each classification, they have about 50, 60, 70 teams depending. So you got to think of it like this. We started with however many kids in your classification, and in your weight class, down to 12.
Right.
Whichever way it makes sense to the viewers. You guys get what I'm saying? We're down to 12. It's only you and 11 other guys, or girls, fighting for that top spot on the podium, fighting for some jewelry. And I was blessed to do it a couple of times. I'm excited to see. I think the biggest thing about state for me is the storylines, is the kids that, he's a senior and he's a two-time blood rounder and he's got one last run to make the podium, or a guy that maybe he's been a finalist the year before and now he's looking to slay old demons. You get the freshmen who are lighting up the world that want to try to go 4 for 4. And then the team race as well in a couple of these classes is going to be absolutely electric.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing. I'm hoping I could get to Macon this week. I don't know. We're going to see. It's conference week for the boys. And while I'm not wrestling, I will still have responsibilities. I hope I get to go to Macon because I'd love to see it in person, but I'm buzzing, man. It's Macon. The road to Macon.
It is the road to Macon. All right. So just so everybody knows, this is an intro that will go at the beginning of every single one of the videos that we're dropping. But after we finish this intro, we will cut it and actually go to a specific talking in detail about one of the classifications as well as the girls and that sort of thing. So just if you're really only interested in 1A, or you're only interested in 7A or this or that, we'll get to those in just a second. Okay. But in terms of, Lucas, you said storylines to begin with, just broadly speaking, regardless of what classification, because they'll all be there, right? If you were to pick one or two things that kind of everybody might want to be paying attention to as they walk in, what are a couple of those things?
I'm going to hone in on the first-time guys that maybe they're freshmen or maybe they're sophomore, junior, that last year they didn't make it to the state meet. I want you to take it in when you step into Macon. It's going to be 6 to 8 mats running, lots of people, lots of noise, and every coach and their mother is going to tell you the same adage of, hey, that mat is the same size as the one in our wrestling room. It's the same size as the mat. Take it in. Enjoy the experience. There's not a lot of opportunities you have. I would give it a lot to go wrestle in Macon again. Not that I like the arena. I don't like the arena.
Right.
But for the atmosphere. So first thing I'd say is to the guys who are going there for the first time, take it in. And on the same token, to the guys there for the last time, take it in. Really understand what you won't have again and be appreciative of that. And to the fans, I'm going to say, appreciate the wrestling going on. I can understand as a coach or as a parent, you may be so honed in on your son or daughter, as you should be. But man, with some of these matches going on in some of these brackets, take some time to watch some good wrestling if you can. Like, take some time. If you're just sitting there waiting on your son to wrestle, don't just be on your phone scrolling through Facebook or Imager or Twitter or Tumblr, you know. Watch some of the wrestling. Enjoy it. You know, it's once in a lifetime to go to make and to do it multiple occasions that I had the blessing to do. It was incredible. So that would be my keys. Enjoy it. Love it.
So I would say, you know, if you're not familiar, as far as another classification goes, the road to a state title for the teams in 7A is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to that when we get to 7A. Yeah. But I will tell you that if you want to be paying attention to what's going on in a team race, and all the team races are going to be great, but that team race is going to be special. And then the second thing that I wanted to say was kind of piggybacking off of what you said, in that you talked about the freshmen, the first timers and the last timers. The other part is that we always have somebody who comes in as a 6 out of a sectional who is not necessarily on anybody's radar, and they may not win it, but they make a run and they end up on the podium. And it's a very special feeling because they started out in a deep hole to get to that point. So
I got an even better story for you. My senior year at heavyweight, kid at a Cherokee, I think it was an alternate, gets in on a guy getting injured, and he makes a run to the state finals. And he eventually lost to
Fairchild?
Who?
Fairchild?
Yes, thank you. I was thinking Fairchild. Yeah, he loses to Fairchild, but he took 9th, and because this is when it was top 8 that went, ladies and gentlemen. This was 16-man brackets.
Right.
He took 9th at sectionals, 9th, and made a run to the state final. Like,
yeah. So the storylines are huge. I mean, that's what we're going to kind of talk about when we get into the brackets. But it's going to be fun. Yeah,
you're going to have some Cinderellas where the glass slipper is going to fit for some of them, and they're going to have a story when they're older of, hey, I was the 5 seed at the state tournament. I knocked off a 4, I knocked off a 6 seed, then I knocked off a 1. I made the way back to the finals, and I was wrestling the guy who beat me at sectionals, and I got the comeback, and I win the state title. There are going to be stories that come from this weekend of that, and to those kids, it's going to be something they remember for the rest of their lives.
All right, so you ready to jump into one of these?
Yes, I am. Which one's it going to be? Just like I did with the rank, which one's it going to be? I don't know. They could be watching 5F for all we know.
Right. So let's jump in.
Storytelling. It's wonderful storytelling.
All right. Not going to let you do that again. All right. Back with Fat and Scrappy. This time we're doing 5A. You can't mess that one up.
Yeah, no.
5A.
It could be an ass and do that.
Well, and that would be in character, right?
Yes, it fits the gimmick for sure.
All right. So if people haven't watched any of the other ones, we're going to kind of start somewhere in the middle, like it's a dual meet, and kind of go around to because we seem to always start at 106 and end at 285. And that seems like maybe I run out of energy at 285. I know you don't run out of energy at 285, but yeah, right. So, I want to make sure that we give everybody their due and everything else. So, let's and we're going to talk about team race at the end. Although to cue everyone, really, we're talking about the team race all the way through. So, yeah.
I specifically like just to make notes about the team race as we go through because it makes life easier than trying to remember, 126. This bracket's really important because whatever.
And let's start at 126, where, let's be honest, the returning state champ and nationally ranked, I don't know, 5 or 6, number 5 or number 6, Jake Craps is in the bracket. Jake is easily the favorite. You've got some other studs in that group. I don't think any challenge him for the title, but who are some other names that we want to keep an eye on?
I mean, at 5'8", 126, like there's a wealth of depth in the bracket. You got a Tucker Kazinko in there in his junior campaign. You got Hunter Keene, 37-1 in his sophomore campaign. He was undefeated going into his match with Craps.
Well, and a returning state runner-up, I believe.
Yep. Jonah Lavender can bang. Then you start getting a little bit. You got guys like Davis Culpepper out of, I believe that's Harris County.
Yep.
Landon Moss at Ola 30-11. But the weight is highlighted by Jake Craps.
Yeah, so let's take a look at, just real quick, because I don't want to take too long, even though we always take forever. Let's take a look at the bottom side of the bracket, where you got possibly Keene Culpepper in the quarter, with the winner getting Kazenko. That's I mean, Jake is probably handling the top side of the bracket. That bottom side of the bracket could be one to watch if you're a fan sitting in the stands.
We'll go a lot of different ways. And a guy that I want to mention his name, because shout out Alora Waterman. She goes to BPC. She gave me kind of insider trading on Aiden Neal out of Cartersville.
Mm-hmm.
Watched him a little bit. The kid's 30-9 on the year in his junior campaign, and he's still green. I like what I see at him. Don't be surprised if you see him in that 5th, 6th spot. I'm going to throw it out there. Just don't be surprised. The kid can bang.
Well, I think he was returning. I think he was 6th last year. So it wouldn't be a surprise at all. And that means that, again, we don't want to look past the first round matches, but that means those quarters could be fantastic.
Oh, there could be some really good quarters, especially in 5A for sure.
All right, let's jump to 132.
By the way, real fast. 126 pounds. I'm picking Jay Craps to win. Just want to make that.
Okay. All right. I got you. 132 pounds. We have 2 freshmen who won sections. One, I don't think was a surprise, with Dallas Russell of Jefferson. The other was Rowdy Duck, who
he went and got the job done.
Yeah, he did. I mean, over Sebastian Melendez of Greenbrier, Durbin Carpenter of Chattahoochee. He won a really good weight class. Now, I'm not going to say Russell, he had to battle. I mean, Javion Redmond from Ola, it was a 3-1 match, I think, in the semis. So we're not handing out hardware or anything, but those 2 freshmen put themselves in a great position.
So not only I'll say Rowdy Duck might be my favorite name in all of GHSA. I want to make that clear. That is a wonderful name. Yeah, like you were talking about, and then you also got a guy like a Jordan Hiddle in there at East Side, who he got second in his out of the class section. So let's not overlook him by any means. A Cade Martin out of Locust Grove, I believe that is. You got some guys in here that can wrestle. Redmond out of Ola is a dangerous draw for anybody. And the idea of a Redmond Duck matchup in the possible semifinal to me is fascinating because of the style matchup that would be happening there. Very different styles of wrestling. But I would be remiss if I didn't admit I'm expecting an all-freshman final. And boy, just to make Jennifer Russell mad, I want to pick Rowdy Duck. I do. But I want to be correct in my predictions as much as possible. Give me Dallas Russell, a.k.a. Honey Badger. That's a reference from when we were kids. We all used to call him Honey Badger. Give me Dallas Russell. I think he wins his first high school state title.
All right. And,
that kid is insane.
And just to note, the 5A classification had no freshman champs last year. And we might have way more than just one in this classification this year. But certainly you think that we have the possibility of 2 of them in the finals, guaranteeing at least one at 132.
Oh, no, I do. I think we'll see that. I think both of them are good enough where they'll get through kind of a murderer's row in their quarters and sems draw, and then they'll get the job done.
All right, 138. Boy, I don't know that anybody's wrestled better than Hayden Santora in the last month of the season from Woodland. He is one of the section champs. Connor Kimbrough, who was second a year ago, is the other section champ. You've got, some good wrestlers in the middle there. I think Kimbrough beat Davis Dollar, who's a returning state champ in the Sims. So puts him up on the top side. How do you see 138 playing out?
I have no clue. So this is one of those weights where it's a little bit of me throwing darts, because we also got to throw in at a cast Tanner Troops got second out of his sectional, and Ari Martin out of Jones County, he worked himself to the final where he would go on to lose to Kimbrough. But lots of good wrestlers in here. A guy like a Talon Nix is sitting in a 5 spot where if he were to get through Safi, he then deals with Santora coming off the scale, basically. That's going to be a really rough draw. I won't lie. I'm expecting Kimbrough.
I'm just saying, you got to pick one. You gave me a lot of names.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were pausing me.
No. I'm not pausing you. Sorry.
Raffle me for a beat. I'm expecting Kimbrough to get through to the final. I think Dollar and Santora in the sems. Give me Santora. And in the end, give me Connor Kimbrough of Ola. Yeah, give me Connor Kimbrough. I'm picking Kimbrough.
I mean, I think it's. I mean, look, it's not a crazy pick. I mean, he beat Davis Dollar last week, and I mean, I certainly mean, yeah, no doubt. So it's just one of those situations where you're like, in 5A where we're used to, Henson and Singleton and Filipowicz and lots of different people, Cole Hunt in years past, where you're kind of like, well, I think we pretty much know who the favorite is and who's going to win. That's a weight where I mean, Kimbrough to me seems like he's a little bit above, but he's not significantly above. It's going to be a battle. So,
no. I'm really interested for the idea of a matchup between him and Santora. I would imagine they've wrestled this year at some point.
I would think so. Although you never know. You never know. All right.
I mean, maybe weights were different, but
I'm sorry.
I mean, maybe weights are different, but Ola and Woodland seem to be at the same event every week. It just seems to work out that way where they're everywhere together.
They do seem to cross paths a fair amount. I would agree with that. I don't know that it happened a lot this year, but in years past, they certainly have. All right.
Well, if it didn't, then I'll shut up. If it didn't, then I'll shut up.
I don't know if they did. They might have. I'm just not 100% sure. 144, we've got Tyler McKnight, who was second a year ago. Brian Papkin of Ola, who is unbeaten and is a returning state placer. Those are your 2 section champs. Just so everybody knows, McKnight's only loss this year was in the knockout finals, which you called against Anderson Heap. A fantastic match. Heap is a Florida State champ. I don't see anyone else in the weight like that close to the two of them. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I overlooking anyone?
No, I agree. And for the sake of brevity, I'm going to make clear to people ahead of time. Like, I don't want this to be one of those things. Brian Papkin is a Team Fat and Scrappy member and a friend of mine, and has been a friend of mine. And Tyler McKnight as well, a stud. I don't know him as well, like as a person. I've spoken to him before. I'm very much expecting these two to kind of be on a collision course to the finals. Don't be surprised, though, if in that bottom side of the bracket, do not be surprised if we look back at the end of the weekend and all of a sudden Adante Armstead is on the podium at a Tucker. Don't be surprised. I'm taking Papkin. I'm taking Papkin to win this. I think he'll knock off Tyler McKnight. This is a little bit me watching their matchups stylistically. I think Papkin's a good matchup, and also a little bit him telling me, him DMing me on Instagram and giving me his ultimatum. And I'm like, all right.
All right. Let's jump to 150. 150's, again, it's a lot of fun. Colin Kane is a returning state champ. Jared Walker, also from Ola. If you see a trend here with the Ola middleweights, definitely in the mix. He won the other side. But, it's not just those two. Although Colin Kane is a defending state champ, or the returning state champ,
there's some other names.
There's some good. I mean, Jason Clark's in there. It's like Zach Addison's in there. Davin Lundquist is in there. Boston McDermott is in there. Dominic Haynes, who took Jared Walker, I think, to a really close match at sectionals, could be his quarter. So how do you see this one?
Like you said, I think that this is a bit of a smorgasbord in the middle. I would be lying if I didn't admit that I do believe Colin Kane is above the rest. I have Colin Kane winning the weight class. I love the idea of McDermott, Haynes, Walker, and Lundqvist battling it out to see who gets to the final. I think that can go a lot of different ways. And in team race, if we're going to talk about team race for a moment here, Dominic Haynes is super important for Jefferson. As
Agreed.
is on the top side of the bracket, Mason Tompkins for Cass as a freshman. If Cass wants to beat Jefferson, they will need Tompkins to, I'd say, at least make a run to the semifinals. He would need to knock off Clark and then beat Addison of Locust Grove, get to the sems. I mean, then you're probably going to lose to Kane because Haynes, he's got to work himself to the podium. This is one of those weights where neither one of them have one of their all-stars. With all due respect to Haynes and Tompkins, you're not a Jake Craps, Dallas Russell, Davis Dollar for or not Davis Dollar. You're not one of your guys, your hitters.
Luke Cochran, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Luke Cochran. That's not a bad thing. Not everybody's a hitter. So in this kind of a weight where you do have two of those guys, you got to go make it happen.
Well, and Tompkins sits in a tough spot because he gets Clark, who came in pretty hot in the opening round. And if he loses that match, he probably gets he will get the loser of the quarter between Lundqvist and McDermott or Fleming.
I was saying or Fleming.
And that's a tough.
Yeah,
that's a tough draw. I mean, that's why a lot of sixes go 0-2, is because those are two tough matches. If you can win those matches, you will help your team immensely.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. That's a great point to mention.
All right, so let's jump to 157. First, shout out to Seth Larson. So happy to see him back on the mat after missing much of the last 6 months or so. And he's wrestled exceptionally well. He only has a handful of matches, but
the boogeyman of 5A has returned, and it was I had insider trading that he probably was going to be back ahead of time. I didn't put him in my rankings because I didn't want to. First off, I didn't want to upend the rankings, and secondly, I didn't want to kind of let the cat out of the bag before it was out of the bag. But like you said, I'm very happy to see him back. He's one of my favorite guys in the state. Stylistically, I love the way he wrestles, so I'm super excited to see him back.
Yeah, so he the other section champ is Isaac Green of Calhoun. Super good as well.
In his own right.
Right. He does share the top side with Malik Conley, who I think is somebody that we all should keep an eye on. I think he wrestled Larson pretty tough. In terms of the team race, though, that third quarter with Krieg Rowe and either Cooper Comer or Jeremy Hayes could be super important for Cass. Rowe getting through there, and then he's probably not beating Larson, but if he can get through there and get to the semis and make sure that he's on the podium, that will be huge. If he loses there, that makes it much more difficult.
And for Greenbrier, if you're trying to fight to a top 5, top 6 position, maybe even thinking team trophy aspirations,
right?
Comer needs to beat Rowe. Like, the only way that happens is if you get a guy like Comer, McDermott, if you get those Boston Scott, those guys can get to the sems, and at least then you're securing podium points.
You were watching football last night.
You said McDermott.
You said Boston Scott.
Am I losing my mind, or do they have a kid on their team with the last name Boston? Am I losing my mind?
On Greenbrier's team? Boston?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Boston McDermott is the only one.
No, okay, I'm losing my mind. Cool, I'm losing my mind. Got it. Never mind. Excuse me. No, I'm not losing my mind. Wait a minute. I'm going to Greenbrier. No, I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad.
No. Let's not get off task.
I don't care. You can.
Did you watch football
Boston
last
McDermott.
night?
Okay, no, it's Boston McDermott. Okay, I knew there was a Boston on that damn team.
Yes.
I knew there was.
Yes.
Okay.
But were you watching football? Because that's a running back for the Eagles.
I watched a little bit of the game. I didn't stay football.
Yeah, I didn't much care either. All right. Let's jump to 165, where we have the other McKnight, Zach McKnight, who took second last year to Gunnar Filipowicz. You got Canton Henson from Locust Grove, Xander Dossett, Heath Tatum, others in the group. But for me, Zach McKnight has looked on a different level.
Yes,
at least than most of the people that are currently in this weight.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree. Also, by the way, 57 pounds, I'm picking the boogeyman. I'm picking Seth Larson.
Oh, right.
165 pounds, I'm picking Zach McKnight. That bottom side of Tatum, Lewis, Harper, Henson, and then with a Larby and Mishra, sure. That bottom side's really interesting to me. I trying to take a punt of who's going to come out of it. I'm guessing Henson or Tatum, but then again, I'm pretty sure Harper at a Flowery Branch. He's wrestled good a lot of the year. He's a freshman as well. That bottom side's gonna be really interesting, but I got McKnight. I have Zach McKnight winning this weight.
All right. Well, and Henson was, he did look good last weekend in winning a section, which puts him in a huge advantage coming in. So, all right, yes. 175 Jefferson. I'm assuming will definitely need one of their hammers, Creed Thomas, to come through. He is a section champ. Jabari Holmes of Northside Columbus sits up top as the other section champ. The probably most interesting for those individuals who don't know the kids that well is Zion Smith of Ola, who took third last week. He lost to Thomas fairly convincingly, but he's a returning state placer and is tough.
51-1 on the season, has wrestled really good all years, made a lot of improvements. He's going to get Chai Anderson of Jones County, I believe that is, in the quarter. Should he get Bass Jimenez? And then on that, even on the top quarter, you have a Glass Bauer matchup, which is by no means for Jabari Holmes. That's probably one of the tougher 5-6 matchups in the entire 5A. Glass and Bauer, like that's a draw for a 5-6 with the winner, with the prize for the winner being Jabari Holmes. Do not be surprised if any of the top 3 seeds on that top side of the bracket come through. But with all due respect, I'm taking Creed Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm taking the new Bucknell Bison.
Yeah. That's right. All right. So now
flowers and whatnot, flowers as if he needs any more, but flowers.
So are you taking the new Chippewa from Jefferson, Luke Cochran at 190 as well? Since we're talking about
yes.
Commits and signees.
Yes. But this weight has got some intrigue.
Okay.
Not necessarily in the bottom. I mean, Parker Duncan wrestle. Don't get that twisted. As well, a guy that can wrestle is Kadeem Barnes of Heritage. Not a lot of people know him. He can wrestle as well. He's going to be in the 3 spot. He'll wrestle Dunn probably. That top side, however. Yeah, Kale Rockenbach, returning state placer. I believe Jatavius Williams is a state placer returning. I do believe.
I don't know off the top of my head. That's a good question. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Well, he's your sectional champion. And then you got a guy like a Brandon Perez out of Villa Rica. Even in that 5-6, you have Lundy and Perry, which is Northgate and Dutchtown. He's now returning to state placer.
He's not.
Wow. Okay. But that top side has got I would not be surprised if we see a sectional finals rematch in the state finals. I think Rockenbach has the edge over Williams.
Well, and Rockenbach forfeited to Cochran, I think in the sectional finals last weekend. So I don't know the reason for that, but if he's a little banged up, that could play an impact. That could play into it as well. I don't know why. I don't know why he forfeited. I don't want to speculate or anything like that. I just know that it came up as a forfeit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump to 215. I already know you're picking Cochran at 190. Is that right?
Yep.
So 215 in 5A is one of my most one of the weight classes I'm most interested in watching, because you've got Higdon, who's a returning placer, Aligwe, who's a returning state runner-up, Jabari George. You also have, I think it's Striker, not Striker Woods, who is also a returning placer, who took third. This is a weight class that has a bunch of kids in it who have all made the podium, but none of them been on the top step before.
Nope. And when you start really thinking about it, you got Aligwe, senior, Martin, senior, Higdon Sr. You got a lot of guys with their last opportunity to win this thing. And it gets to be a crapshoot about midway through this bracket where I'm like, oh God, you have these are your possible quarterfinal matchups, ladies and gentlemen. Wells and Higdon, let's say Eichner and Martin, George and Woods, and then Coughlin or Donnell and Eligwe. After careful consideration, I'm gonna pick Jason Eligwe. I like the kid. I think it's his time. Higdon, though, can upend that. And if Higdon upends that, I think if Higdon wins the state title, there's a really good possibility we see Woodland in the top 3.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Like that flip right there might give them the edge to be top 3, where right now I have them sitting in blank position. I want to give away my picks, but yeah, I think that's going to be real interesting. And you talk about 215 being an interesting one. We'll get to heavy when we get there.
No, actually, I'm glad you said it because 285 is the weight class. It is the weight class, right?
Let's just talk. Your sectional champions are Southern and Brown. Then in your runners-up spots, you have Nolan and Wilson. Sitting in a 4 spot, you have Gavin Profit. And in 3s, you have
I think Profit was a 3.
Oh, sorry. No, you're right. It's in a 3 spot. And then your other 3 is Will Agueldo. Sure, out of Jones County, who can also wrestle his tail off. Profit's 1 loss on the year. Came to Southern, I believe, in the semifinals of sectionals. He was a unblemished 42-1 on the year. So I'm sitting here.
I think he might have lost to Wilson, who he's going to get in the quarters.
Maybe. I should have pulled up the sectional brackets. Whatever. Point being, his loss is coming to Wilson or Southern, who he would probably see on a road back to try to get a win back.
Yeah.
And you got Sammy Brown in there.
So for those people who don't know quite as well, Brown is a returning state champion, right? Wilson is a returning state runner-up. Profit's a returning state champion. Southern's a returning state runner-up. And here's a piece of information for you. Southern made all the finals last year at this weight in this classification. I think it was at this weight. Yeah, in this classification as the number 5 out of a sectional. So this is stacked. Who wins 5A 285?
This is the most erased pick I have on my sheet. I've made this pick 4 separate times. I'm going to pick there's one kid that I'm going to pick against. And I know it's going to come back to bite me. Like, I know what's going to happen. Give me Riley Songler.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, so if you're looking at it on paper, the bottom side of the bracket looks like it's the more difficult route to the finals. So I don't hate that pick. I mean, he's returning state runner-up, lost to Madden Sanker last year.
He lost to Sanker. And
is that right? Is that right? Am I right?
No,
so
you're right.
It would be 6A that happened in.
Yeah. And Dalton was 6A.
Yeah. Dalton was 6A. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's jump to 6. And there's a little less intrigue at 106 pounds because the returning state runner-up at this weight in this classification sits on the top line. That is Lee Camp of Cass. I think Camp's only loss on the year came down at the knockout to DJ Clark in the semifinals. And he had beaten Clark previously.
I covered that semifinal. I commentated that semifinal. That was a hell of a match between those two.
Right. And that, not to take away, Nick Nguyen is obviously a returning state placer. You've got a bunch of other kids in this bracket, but man, you can't tell me that you're going to pick somebody else besides Lee Camp.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Well, we're going to talk implications of this weight. In this weight, you have Ola, Jefferson, and Woodland Cartersville. Oh, and Harris County.
In Harris County. Yep.
4 of probably the top 8 teams are sitting in a side that is winnable to get an extra finalist. There's a lot of that could happen in that, and also Jones and Ware County, who, while they are a little bit further back, if a couple things go their way, they maybe can make something happen.
I agree with you.
I agree that Camp is winning the bracket. However, if you're watching the team race, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eye on the bottom side of 106. Lots of stuff that could go on there. And on the backside, because imagine if, just for the sake of argument, imagine Clayton from Jefferson drops in the first round to Kinnamore. Then all of a sudden you get him on the road back. He gets to lose a 50-58. That'd probably be Magana or Meredith. And then on the front, and then you'd have the loser. There's so many possibilities with team score that could happen that make it fast.
Agreed. And going 0-2 is it hurts. It hurts a lot in the team race. All right, moving to 113. Probably the first freshman who really has a huge shot at claiming a title in 5A would be Roman Bilardo. Not to take anything away from Hunter Barrett, who's the other section champ, but Bilardo has beaten Mason Moody, who is the returning 106-pound state champ, twice this year, and Moody now sits up top. Yeah, how do you see this one playing out?
Hunter Barrett's an odd sectional champ, not to take anything away from Metacast. 10-11 on the years is his record, which I know is probably inaccurate. I'm taking
or he could have
Moody.
wrestled up in weight. I mean, who knows? We don't really know.
I'm taking Moody to get back to the finals. He will see Roman Bilardo there. And while I love me some Mason Moody, I gotta pick Roman Bilardo. I think that kid is on another level. He's beaten Moody on the year twice now. Were either one of them really convincing?
I think both of them. I mean, at least I haven't watched them, but in terms of scores, I think it was like 8-2.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, so we're not talking a 6-5, 6-4 match, 3-2 match. It looks to me, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure the Locust Grove coaches and those people working with Moody have watched those matches and trying to figure out, how to counter some of those things. It's a little tough to do in such a short period of time, against somebody as good as Bilardo.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah.
All right, so let's jump to 120, our final weight in 5A. We have another Cass section champ that I was a little surprised by the Cass section champs at 113 and 120. It was huge.
I was too.
It was huge for them, but in the team race, they're going to play a huge role. Whether Caden Alford wins it or doesn't win it or anything else, him getting points on the front side of this bracket and potentially on the back side of the bracket are huge. Chaz McDonald, though, state runner-up from last year from Jefferson, I would think is the favorite in the weight.
No, I agree. I agree, and I'm picking Chaz McDonald. Really, the intrigue of this to me is in the middle. A possible matchup of Mallet and Alford, I'm intrigued by. You got Mallet, who's been here before and knows what the state tournament's like. Alford, in his own right, is a freshman. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Mallet into the final against McDonald, but in the end, I have Chaz taking the win.
All right. So that is the 14 brackets in 5A. Now to jump to the teams. Really, look, the truth is Ola, Woodland, Jones County, Locust Grove, Greenbrier, they're all going to play a role in who ends up winning the title. But with 7 champs each for Jefferson and for Cass, and Cass has 10 that finished first or second, Jefferson has 9 that finished first or second, and Jefferson has 13 qualifiers versus Cass's 11 qualifiers. This is really a 2-team race.
Agreed. And
so what's going to happen? How is that going to play out?
You mean Harris County in 5th, Give me Woodland in 4th. Give me Ola in 3rd. Give me Cass as your runners up. Give me the Dragons or Jefferson to take home the title. I have them doing the double. I just think they got too much. Individual at the start of the year, we said it individually. They're nearly a better individual team than they are a dual team.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, they have so many point scoring opportunities. It's not even funny.
They do. They do.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Lucas. That was 5A. I hope everybody goes and checks out all the other ones. Also, just so you know, if you have a SC Wrestle Plus subscription, I am writing up my own kind of fans guides where it kind of echoes a lot of what Lucas and I are talking about, but not entirely. I give a few other pieces of information in there as well. So make sure you check those out this week. And we'll see you guys in Macon in, this weekend.
I hope I'll be there.